Morning as we go to the Chita. So today we start the Parshas Vayakel. It's in the book of Shemos. We're holding chapter 35, verse number 1. Vayakel Moshe Kol Adas Bnei Yisrael. Moshe Rabbeinu gathered the community of Israel. Vayem Aleim, and he told them, Eila Dvorim Asher Tziva Hashem La'aseh. Say some. This is what this is what God commanded you to do. Now she says, Vayakel, he gathered them in L'mochosim HaKippurim. This was the day after Yom Kippur. Sheyadim and Ahar, when he came down from the mountain, the second Luchos. And the Vayakel is a causing expression, causing someone to do something. Because one does not assemble people with one's hands directly, but they're assembled through one's speech. And the Moshe Rabbeinu made a calling that everybody should come to one place. 6 days a week you shall work. In the 7th day, the 7th day shall be holy to you. Shabbos, Shabbos, and is a Shabbos of Shabbos, Hashem to God. Whoever works on Shabbos shall be put to death. Now she says, Moshe prefaces the discussion of detail of the work of the Mishkan with the warning of keeping Shabbos. This is the famous Gemara, where the sages learned that the 39 malachas are connected to the Melechas HaMishkan. That what is a malach? When it says don't work in the Torah, it means the 39 Melechas HaShabbos. You're not allowed to kindle a fire in your dwelling place in the day of Shabbos. Now she says, the machlekes in the Gemara, the argument in the Gemara, why does the Torah separate out of the 39 malachas the dafka making a fire? Some say that the reason why the Torah separates it is to tell us that the making of a fire is only a negative commandment, doesn't carry the concept of the opposite of life. And some tell us that it actually comes to tell us that each and every malacha is separate. So I can actually do one avodah, I can do one thing and do many malachas. The Gemara says there's a possibility, I believe the Gemara is 11 malachas. You can do one malacha, and with that malacha, you're actually doing 11 different works. And lachalik comes to separate each malacha individually. Moshe Rabbeinu spoke to the Jewish people, saying, this is what God commanded, saying. What means saying? Rashi says, me to say to you, take from each and every one of you an offering, a donation. Call Hashem to God. Call Div Liba, whoever has a goodness of the heart. Trumas Hashem will bring the offerings of God. Zav, Vachesef, and Cheshes, what is gold, silver, and copper. Now she says, why is it called a Div Liba? Since his heart moved him to be generous, he's called a generous heart. I already explained the offering of the Mishkan and its work in the place of their command in Parshat Truma Tetzaveh. And therefore, Rashi said, I'm not going to repeat most of it. The explanation is already in the two previous portions. And the blue and purple and crimson wool and linen and goat's hair. And ram skins of that are red. And chashim skins, the beautiful skins of many colors. Shittim and acacia wood. You have to have oil for the lighting. Spices for the anointing oil. For incense, and you have these shoyam stones that were on the top of the shoulder of the kohen gadol. You have the filling stones that were the ephod, that was for the ephod, for the choshen, the breastplate that was on the kohen gadol. And every wise-hearted man from you, Hashem will come and do what God has commanded. Verse 11, as a Mishkan, the tabernacle, it's all its tent. It's covered. Veskarasov and all its planks. Veskarasov and all its bars. And all its pillars. Veskarrichav and its bars. Vesamudov and its pillars. Vesadonov and its sockets. Now she says, what's the Mishkan? The Mishkan, remember, we had 3 curtains, one on top of the other. So the Mishkan is the bottom curtain, which appeared inside the Mishkan. You saw the beauty at 2 different animals on each side. As Ayalai, this is a tent made the curtains of goat hair. That's called Ayalai. This was the black, it looked like black when we showed it, the goat's hair, which was made for roof. This was to protect from the rain. As michseu, this was the top one, the cover, the ram skins that covered over this goat's hair. Verse number 12. As Aron ves badam, the Aron and its poles. Ves apareches, ves akaperes. I'm sorry. Ves pereches amasach, and our cover is the kaperes, and the screen and the curtain that divided. Now she says pereches amechitza, the dividing curtain, which served as a screen. Anything that protects, whether from above, from the front, is called a masach, is called a screen or a cover. Similarly, you made the hedges, the sachach. That actually brings up another pasuk where you see that sach is the concept of a cover. Verse 13, as hashulchan ves badav, the shulchan, the table of bread, ves badav and its poles, ves kol kelev and all the vessels, ves lechem apanim and the showbreads itself. Now she says, lechem apanim, kvar perashti, I explained it, that it's called lechem apanim because they actually faced one another. They were like a thing that faced each other. So that's why it's called apanim, face to face. That's menorah samur, the menorah of lighting. It's kaleh and all its vessels. It's neresen, all its lamps. The shem and hamur and the oil for the lighting. What's the vessels of the menorah? These are the tongues and the scoops, Rashi says. Neresen, spoons in which the oil of the wick was placed. The shem and hamur, that too required wise-hearted people because it was different from other oils. As we explained already in Masechta Menachos, he would pick the olive on top of the tree and crushed it and pure. So the first crush of the menorah, of the oil of the olive was for the mizbeach, for the menorah. It's blach in the altar of incense. There's badav in its poles. There's shemen hamishcha and the anointing oil. There's kteres hasamim and the incense. There's masach hapesach and pesach hamishkan and the screen, the cover, the curtain that was at the entrance of the Mishkan. Now she says the screen, the curtain in front of the eastern side, the entrance of the Mishkan, for there were no planks there. There was only 5 poles there and a curtain that hung on these 5 poles. As 4 poles. As mizbeach ha'ila, the altar of the burnt offering. As michpar anachoshes and the copper regrating ashalei that I had on this altar. As badav its poles, as kol kelev all its implements, as akir, as akane, and the washpin and its base. Verse 17, as kalei achotzer, the hangings of the courtyard. The amudav its pillars. As adeneo its sockets. As masach shar achotzer, and the screen, the curtain that was at the gate, at the entrance of the courtyard. Rashi says, as amudav, as adonov, the courtyard, the chotzer, is referred to both as masculine and feminine. Amudov is a masculine, Adeneh is feminine. So you see the Torah mixed the masculine and feminine. It's all equally important in the Mishkan. Masach HaChotzer, Shar HaChotzer, the screen spread out on the eastern side, covering the middle 20 cubits of the width of the courtyard. For the courtyard was 50 cubits wide. And 50 cubits towards the northern side was closed. 15 cubits. And 15 cubits on the southern side. So you had 30 cubits that was totally closed. It was part of the walls. And then you had 20 cubits in the middle that was for the doorway, that an entrance of the base of the Mishkan, and to enter the Mishkan. Verse 18. As you say, Mishkan, the pegs of the Mishkan. As you say, Sachatz, and the pegs of the courtyard. As Meisreim, and its ropes. These were pegs that would you put it into the ground, and they held the curtain straight. These are the ropes that we tie the courtyard curtain that they tied to the ground. As big the the meshwork garment to serve for the holy. There's big day kodesh laden hakoyin, and also the garments for the koyin. There's big day banav and the garments of the koyin, the regular koyin, Lekayin to be a kohen. Rashi says big de hasrad again. Rashi says big de hasrad. The garments served for the holy are the cover. They made covers for all these utensils, so that when they traveled, it was covered. So for the ark, the table, the menorah, the altar, every one of these things had a cover. Vayetzu kaladas b'nei Yisrael. Moshe made the announcement. It's time to go out and collect and make sure we have all these products. They went out and departed from before Moshe Rabbeinu. They went out to collect all these products and bring it to the Beis Hamikdash. Bring it to Aaron, Moshe and Aaron and Betzalel. And that completes the Chumash for today. We start very famous chapter of the Alter Rebbe, the 32nd chapter of the Alter Rebbe, which is in Hebrew, it's the Lev, it's the heart of the Tanya. And it's the Alter Rebbe's chapter of Avas Yisrael, the concept of loving one another, to love another Jew. So in the previous chapter, yesterday was a long chitas, it was the whole chapter 31. And today, this week, the Alter Rebbe, the Frierdiker Rebbe divided the whole chapter 32 in the next couple of days. It's not going to be very big learnings because he cut it up the whole chapter into 5 days. The previous chapter, the Alter Rebbe taught that when one is bitterly remorseful over his sorry spiritual state, he must strive for joy, because there's no concept of bitterness without joy that comes. Bitterness in itself has no value. So the Alter Rebbe explained how we have to have joy, and if there's no joy after that, you know that it comes from the Yetzer Hara. So true on the account of his body and his animal soul, he's utterly remote from godliness, so he's bitter, sad. He has within him a divine soul, and therefore he should be extremely happy. We're really a part of God. This soul, in exile within the body, in the animal soul, is to be greatly pitied. One should therefore strive constantly to release it from exile and to return it to the divine source through engaging in Torah mitzvahs in this world. The neshama wants to leave the body and go l'mayla to its source. But we tell the neshama, no, we're going to give him all his tools and all his capabilities of connection to godliness. He doesn't need to leave the body, and he actually can have a greater connection to godliness in this world than even in the Gan Eden. And that entices the neshama. That's why ultimately the neshama, once you give it a mitzvah, once you learn Torah with it, now the neshama doesn't want to leave this world. That's why Bakar Chatames, the neshama doesn't want to leave it, because the neshama sees the greatness of Torah and mitzvahs in this world more than all that he had in Gan Eden before, and more than all that he expected to have after 120 years. And that's why the Eibishter gave us Pasha to Torah mitzvah, so that this neshama would have its connection to godliness in this world and ultimately affect the world. That's really the point. Okay, one should therefore strive constantly to release that. Such a return will bring one great joy, the joy of freedom. The knowledge that the body and the animal soul remain in their unfortunate state should not disturb one's joy on the account of the divine soul. He should not be sad at all. For the soul should be infinitely more precious in one's eyes. So for the soul should be much more precious in one's eyes than the body. So therefore, if that he gives the body, that he gives the soul unbelievable existence, that alone should make him happy. Acting on the device mentioned above, in the view, view one's body with scorn and contempt. His joy should be the joy of the soul. Sure, he has a body, but not that the body is his joy. The soul is his joy. Because the joy of the soul is much greater, more important, more everlasting, more beautiful than any of the joy of the body. Then this is not only an unbelievable thing for the Klippa, the breaking of Klippa and the revelation of soul, It's actually unbelievable for another thing, and that is to come to do the mitzvah of Ahavta l'reacha kamecha, to be able to fill the mitzvah correctly of love thy neighbor as you love yourself. This is the way to do it. L'chol nefesh Yisrael, which is a commandment on every Jew. The God of Akatan, from the most great Jew to the most simple Jew, he has a mitzvah to do Avas Yisrael. And this will be able to accomplish this mission of a great mitzvah. And it's not an easy mitzvah, Avas Yisrael. But to be able to come to this mitzvah and to be able to accomplish this mitzvah, this is the key to it. The previous chapter, to be able to put your soul in perspective and to emphasize the soul and to have joy of the soul and to make sure that a person really understands what true joy is, and therefore you understand his own happiness, what his own happiness should be, then he'll be able to come to do this mitzvah. But this is the end of the Tanya for today. Today is the 23rd day of the month, which is chapter 108 to chapter 112. Chapter 108 to chapter 112. If you do those 5 chapters, you've done the Chitas. I invite you all at 10 o'clock. I ask you all to come on time because I'm going to have to leave at 10:45. Today, we'll have to only have 45 minutes. And we have a walkathon for the Friendship House. And I invite you all today at 10 o'clock to come and learn at the JEI or on this Torah Direct or on Zoom. And we'll learn some more Tanya today at 10 a.m. Have a wonderful and beautiful day. See you tomorrow, Midshem, 8 o'clock. We'll continue.